This is Microsoft Word for Beginners, a complete course. As you watch this video and follow along, I promise you, this will provide you with everything you need to learn Word. Regardless of the version of Word that you're using, this video is what you need to become proficient in Word. So let's get started. So to open Word, once we have it installed on the computer, we click here on Start and then locate it under the list of our programs here, or we simply type Word and then hit Enter. Once we open Word, we are presented with these options here. On the left, we have three tabs. We have the Home tab, New, and Open. On the Home tab, we have the option to create a blank document or some guides and templates directly from Microsoft. Then further below here, we have an option to open recent documents or pinned documents or documents that are shared with me. Further down here on the left, on the next tab on New, we have the option to create a blank document or to create a document from a template. This is so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Let's say you want to create a resume. The next option here is to open a document, where we can open from recent documents or OneDrive or files shared with me or files stored on this PC. Further down, we have also the account option. Let's say that we wanted to create a new document. We can do that either by clicking here under the Home tab. We click on the blank document option, or we could go here under the New tab and we click on blank document or use one of the templates. In this case, first I'm going to click on blank document. This main area here is where we type the document. Now, a couple other interface components here. On the very top left, you'll see here this quick access toolbar. This is an area for you to place in here commonly used commands in Microsoft Word. So you can click on the drop down. Let's say you're emailing a document or you're opening documents all the time. You can enable those buttons by just simply clicking one of those, and it will add the open button here. Another way to add those buttons is if you are in a specific tab, and I'll go over the tabs in a moment, and you want to insert, let's say, pictures all the time, you can right-click on this and choose to add it to the quick access toolbar. So in this case, it will always show up here. You don't have to go under the Insert tab and then Pictures, but you can simply use it from here. Now, if you want to remove it from here, you can right-click on it and choose to remove it from the quick access toolbar. On the left-hand side here, the first option is File. File is basically bringing you back to work with anything related to the file in the computer, whether you want to create a new file, open an existing file, or information about the specific file that you're working with, or saving that file, or printing it, sharing it. So that's your File tab. The next thing here is the Home tab. So these are the different tabs actually. So if I click on Insert, you'll have a different set of tools within that tab. If I click on Design, again, a different set of tools. So under the Home tab, these are the most commonly used tools to edit a document in Word. And these are referred to as the groupings. So you have the font grouping, or the group for font-related commands, or paragraph, formatting the paragraph grouping. So these are the functions related to formatting paragraphs, or styles, applying a style to a document and so on. All the style stuff is over here, editing over here, and other options. The key concept here, there are different tabs. Each tab has groupings. Within each grouping, there is a set of functions. These are designed intentionally this way. So you initially type your document with a bunch of text in here. Then once you have typed that document, then you can apply formatting to it. You can change the paragraphs, you can apply styles, and we'll learn about all of these different functions in this tutorial. Once you have done these basic things with your document or your report, then you can go here under Insert, and that's where you can insert cover pages, blank pages, page breaks, tables, pictures, icons, 3D models, and SmartArt, and all of these different functions, comments, headers and footers, and things of that nature. So you are enhancing your original document. Under the Design tab, now you go into a different layer of enhancing this document. So you're kind of applying a theme, and we'll learn about the themes later, but you're making all the components in this document uniform. The next component here is the layout. You're changing the layout of the document, whether it's the margins for the document or the orientation or the size of the document or adding columns. Then you move to the references. This is like where you're taking it even farther. For example, you have a long report. Now you're creating a table of contents. You're adding footnotes, and you're researching and finding and applying citations, captions for various images. So you're kind of refining it at this stage. Then you have the Mailings tab. That's kind of by itself. That's just a separate function for you to do mail merges, whether it's creating envelopes, labels, or letters, or emails, or a directory, and so on. The Review tab, this is one of the last steps. Let's say you finalized your report. Now you need to review it. So you go under the thesaurus, you check the word count, you check it for accessibility, you add comments to it and collaborate with others, and track changes when you're collaborating with others. You can even compare documents and restrict functions within this document. And then finally, do a full review of your document, where you're going here under the View tab, and then you can do a reading mode, just reading through to make sure it's what you intended it to be. You also have the help option, where this is where you can learn about training or what new features are there. But also, along with the help here, notice that on any of these tabs, you have this option, and you can type, let's say, margins. You are not sure how to set the margins. You can simply search in this area for that function, and it will take you to that specific command. So you don't have to know where that command is. Since this is part of Office 365, you can share this document, and you can comment with other individuals as well. On the bottom right, this is where you can change the zoom. You can change the views here to have this in reading mode or print layout mode. Typically, you want to have it in print layout mode. You also have the focus mode, hiding everything else. Then on the left-hand side, you have the number of words, various statistics about this document, and then the number of pages and navigation here as well. In this segment, we're going to create a basic document, do some formatting, save it. So we go here under Start, and then we can open Word from recently used applications, or simply type Word. At this point, I'm going to first create a new blank document. Simply start typing. As you are typing and the cursor or the words reach the end of the line, the content will move on to the next line automatically. This is very basic, but I needed to mention it just for those that are very new to Microsoft Word. So now that we created some text in this document, we can format this and work on this. So let's pretend this is our document. We can make this bold, change the font type, change the font size. Now notice as you're changing the font size, you have these two icons to increase and decrease it. You can also have other options such as uppercase and lowercase. So we are basically selecting the text first, and then you're making these modifications to that selected text. Additionally, let's say that down here in these list of items, we want them to use bulleted lists. So you can simply click on this section here under bullets, click on the drop down, and select different types of bullet, or you can choose numbers or the lists option. As far as formatting the text, once you select it, you can have this centered by using those buttons right here, or indented to the right, or typically as it is the standard to the left. For any of this text, once you select it, you can also change the spacing. So let's say I wanted this double spaced. One of the options here is to use line spacing and change it to double spaced. So for those that are college students, and you need to do double-spaced paper, so you change it directly using this function right here. If you needed to undo, you can either use the undo option from up here on the quick access toolbar, or you could press Ctrl Z on the keyboard and that will undo the last function that you performed. But for now, let's assume that we are done with this document and we want to save it. You can press Save up here on the quick access toolbar, or you can click on File and choose Save. And by default, it'll just save it on OneDrive. So if we go back and press Save here, notice it's starting to save it to OneDrive. You can either click File, Save, and choose this PC, and then save it wherever you want to save it in this PC. For example, in My Documents, where I can go here under Browse, and then go and browse for documents, and then give it a name. Now, saving it on OneDrive, it's advantageous because in case something happens to your computer, you can recover this file by simply accessing the file on OneDrive. One other thing, instead of you creating a document from scratch, you can also go here under File and New, and that will bring you to a similar screen like what we had seen earlier, and use one of the templates. So notice there are all kinds of templates here automatically. Let's say I wanted a brochure. You simply search for it and double click on it, press Create, modify key components of this brochure, add and change various headings and so on, but you basically have the complete layout of the document and you don't have to spend a lot of time on the design. You can simply use a template that already exists in the computer. You can do this for resumes, reports, or brochures. In this session, I'm going to demonstrate how to use the Dictate option in Microsoft Word. As you're creating a document, instead of typing it, go anywhere in the document, and as long as you have a microphone in your computer, you can come here under the Dictate area, and you can click on the drop-down and choose the language that you'd prefer to do the dictation with. Once you're ready, click on Dictate, and then everything that you say, the system is going to transcribe it for you. Let's say I want to type right here, and at this point, everything that you say, it's going to be transcribed. Notice that you can also give commands to the system. Period. New paragraph. As computers become better understood and more economical, comma, every day brings new applications, period. Many of these new applications involve both storing information and simultaneous use by several individuals, period. The content that we wanted has been transcribed. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we're going to learn how to format a document. For the sake of time, I have an existing document. This document is just a generic one. I am giving credit to the website that I copied it from. I modified a couple of things in it, but basically this is not really my typing here. So we're going to learn how to change the formatting on it. Let's assume that we typed what we needed to type. Now we want to learn about some of the formatting capabilities. First, to select a section here, we can double click on that heading, and it will select the whole section, or drag it from beginning to end, or from end to beginning, hold down the mouse, and you'll be able to select that section. You can do the double clicking also for paragraphs. It will select the whole paragraphs. If you go outside of the document and you triple click, that will select the whole document. Now for this document, let's suppose I wanted to change the font on this document. I select the whole thing. I can either hold down the mouse in the beginning here and drag it down like this, or triple click outside of it. I want to change the font to Calibri. I clicked here on the drop down, chose Calibri, and it applied the font. Now under the size here, I could change the size as well directly from here. If I wanted to increase the font size, I can use this icon over here. To change the font type, italics, or apply additional properties, you simply select any of these options in here. You can click on this down arrow to each group of icons, and it will give you additional functions for those settings for the font. So if I click here on this arrow, This is where I can make additional modifications. If you always want any new documents to start with a particular font or a particular font size, you can come to this screen, adjust the properties, and then set this as the default. That's how you set the default font for all documents in Microsoft Word. Then you click on OK. Once you select a bunch of text, whatever that may be, notice that this quick toolbar will show up right above the text that you selected. This is commonly used tools so that instead of you having to reach out all the way here to the ribbon and the various functions, this is quicker for you to access and apply. Let's say that I selected this text and I applied various properties to this text, to this heading, and now I need to apply it to another section. Let's say I need to apply it right here. Instead of me having to go and change the properties and apply 5 different properties that I'm changing, I could actually copy the properties of the formatting from here, apply it to a different section of the document. And that is referred to as the format painter. So this is, we're copying the formatting of a specific section and applying it to a different part of the document. And the way that works is that we make the modifications in one spot. We go here under the Format Painter. It doesn't seem like much happened except for the icon that changed, like this paintbrush. Now we go to the other section of the document, select it, and let the mouse go. It will apply the same properties of that item that we selected earlier. As far as copying and pasting, of course, you can copy a segment of it, and you can click on copy over here on the top left, or press Ctrl-C, go to another section of your document, and then press Ctrl-V or press paste. Notice here under the paste option, you can do to keep the source formatting, you can merge the formatting. That means it's going to apply it with what your document has, or it's going to paste it as a picture, or it's going to paste it as a text, only removing any formatting. Typically, you want to merge the formatting, or typically you simply want to press here paste. Show paragraph marks and other hidden formatting symbols. The spaces are represented with a dot here, and if there is more than one space, notice there are 2 dots here, so you could remove that other one. Right before the paragraph mark, there is another dot or an extra space in there, and this means that there is a return key or a paragraph mark in there. So that's using the hidden codes or symbols in a document. When you're done with it and you don't want to see this anymore, press it again. Before we move into more advanced features, you can also apply one of those styles. So styles are pre-formatted text, basically. So you have, and we'll get into this in the next session in more detail. But basically for now, you can just go in here. You want to apply heading 1. It has this pre-formatted style. It's in blue, it's all caps and so on, and it's centered as well. If you choose to have a different one, you simply click on it and it will apply it as needed. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we're going to learn how to use search and replace in a document in Word. So let's say we want to replace all the protection words with the word security. Of course, one of the ways is to simply locate them and type them, but that could take quite a bit of time, plus we could miss some of the instances of this. One of the options is here to click on Find, and we can, let's say, search here. Notice it says protection. We just search the word protection, and it gives us all the instances where this word is used. So it's used 57 times. We can click, and it will take us to that specific area in the document. So this is just finding the words. But let's say now we want to replace those words. So we go to the top of the document, and then we click here on Replace. Now we're going to search. So instead of finding, we are just simply going to go to Replace. We're going to find the word protection, and we're going to replace it with the word security. Leave all these other options blank, choose Find Next, and it will show us the next word, the next place that this word appears at. And then we can either choose Replace or Replace All if you want to replace all instances of it. You can replace words with other words, or if you click here on More, you can also match the case and replace them on specific case, how it's spelled. Or you could use wildcards, or you could even replace the formatting, so you can select something that is formatted a certain way. You can also search for specific characters or digits or any type of characters or paragraph marks. So let's say I want to search for anywhere where there are 2 paragraph marks and replace it with only 1 paragraph mark. Then we press Next, and it's going to locate. So notice it found one right here. I can choose to replace it, and so on. So in this case, I had only a couple spots here, or I can choose to replace all of them. In this session, I'm going to demonstrate how to use formatting styles in a document in Microsoft Word, and then from these styles, create a table of contents. Formatting styles save you time. They're designed as a tool to save you time, particularly in formatting long documents. So it saves you time, and also it provides consistency throughout the document. The styles, you can access them from here. Notice you have the title style, the heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4 styles, and other ones as well. Plus you can create new styles as well, or clear the formatting for specific styles in a document. Let's say this is the title of my document. Go here under the title, and that has been applied. To modify the title, it's best to modify either style itself by clicking Edit, Modify here, and then change this to be, let's say, bold, and make it 14, and click OK. Or change the style by formatting things the way you want over here. Let's say I want it this way. Once you have the style changed how you want it, you can go back here under that style and choose to update it to match the selection. So you're updating the title style here so that in the future when you apply it, it'll always be that type of formatting. So if I typically don't want to apply the title style elsewhere in the document, but let's say I wanted to, click on it, and now it has been modified to those types of properties. Let's say that I want to format now this heading. So this would be heading number 1. This is level 1 of my document content. While you can create your own personal styles, I suggest that you modify the style how you prefer. Let's say heading 1 here. I click on it, and let's say I didn't like it the way it looks right now. Change this to whatever you want it to look like. Let's say I want it bold, and I want it to be indented all the way to the left, and calibri. And let's say for the sake of emphasis, I want it red. So I'm modifying. I initially applied the heading 1 style. Now I'm modifying it. Now I'm updating this style to how I changed it, how I like it. And then I go elsewhere in the document. Notice this is size 16, and this one I want to apply it right here. This is size 11. It's similar, but it's not the same. I click here on heading 1, and notice it's applying it right away. The next one, let's say this should be a heading 1 as well. Click on it, it's applied. Let's say this needs to be heading 1. Now you can do the same thing for the other headings as well. So you go here, let's say this you want it to be heading 2. So in the table of contents, you'll have the title, the first level heading, which would be considerations, the study of security. Then you have general observations right below that as another heading. You can choose here heading number 2, And again, you can modify this style to what you want. Let's say I want this to be size 14, bold. And once I have applied it once, I want to update heading number 2 style so I can reapply it to other areas of the document. You can right-click, choose Update it to the selection, and then I go elsewhere in the document and choose heading number 2. Notice it saves you time and it provides consistency throughout the document. Obviously, this has to do also with layout of the document, so you don't want to just select those levels randomly, but you want to apply it depending on how the document has been organized. So now if I go to the top, and let's say I want to apply heading number 3 to another area of my document. Let's say I have here this heading number 3. Now, if for some reason you don't see heading number 3 or heading number 4 in the document, that means that you have to apply it first, the previous heading. So let's say you can't apply heading number 4 unless you have something with a heading number 3. So now I have here heading number 3. I want to change the formatting as well to this. Make it, let's say, 12, size 12, update it, and then apply this same heading to other areas in my document. Now that I have applied the headings, notice it saved me time, it provided consistency. The application of these headings can help us in creating a table of contents. The table of contents, typically it's at the beginning of the document. So typically you'd have a blank page in the beginning and so on, but for now I'm just going to insert the table of contents right here. Now the table of contents, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but yet since we are learning about the application of styles in the document, it's helpful to kind of tie those two together with the table of contents, and it's best to learn that now. So here we want to insert the table of contents. Table of contents, it's a reference tool that we want to insert. So you click here on References, you click on Table of Contents, or you could have typed up here under Search, go to Table of Contents. That's the other way to do this. Under Table of Contents, you have various options here that you can utilize, or different templates, basically. You can pick whichever you want. I'm going to take this first one, Automatic. And now the table of contents will be created automatically. Notice I have level A, considerations about security, then general observations. Notice it's level 2 right below it. It has put the page numbers automatically. If for some reason you go and change one of those levels, let's say in here I change this to heading number 2, or let's make it 1 for easier identification. Once you make changes, whether to the page numbers or to the headings, you can update the table of contents by going here to the table of contents, click once on it, and then choose Update Table. And then you choose to update the entire table. Notice this just changed, and it was just updated. As you're learning about the table of contents and the styles, one thing to understand at this stage is also that you can define styles a certain way to your liking with various properties, and you can create your personal style of formatting as well. So you click here on the drop down and choose New Style. Give it a name, click OK, and now I have the Sally style here. If I go somewhere else in the document, I can go and apply this particular style. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we are going to learn about using the Editor tool in Microsoft Word from Office 365. This is a new tool in recent editions of Word. So let's say we have this document or report, we have made changes to it, we have applied some formatting to it and things of that nature. And now we want to check it for certain grammar and other options. Now remember, some of this grammar is also covered on the review area, and I'll try to cover those later. But since we are early on in the Home tab, we are presented also with this tool for the editor. If you click on Editor, it's going to check for spelling in the document, and it's going to identify the grammar areas and also various refinements such as for clarity, for conciseness, formality, punctuation, and things of that nature. Now you'll notice here that certain things are with a check mark. That's because this was a document that I retrieved, so it was a published document. If you click on the spelling area, there's no reference for this first one. Let's go to the next one. Again, there's no reference here as well, and no reference. So there are no spelling errors. It's just bringing things that are not normal. So you can ignore those or ignore them all the time and then move to the next thing. Then you return back to the editor here, and then we are going to check it for grammar. You click on grammar, it's recommending or it's suggesting to use thus, comma, so put a comma in there. You are making those changes and applying them directly by simply pushing those suggestions or acknowledging those suggestions here. Then you come back to the editor, and then you go under the punctuation conventions or clarity, and you make those changes as well. Once you deal with these suggestions, then you can close the editor. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we're going to learn how to insert images and how to manipulate those images in a document in Word. We assume now that we have this report and we want to enhance it. So we go here under Pictures. After we click on Insert, we choose Pictures, and then you can choose a picture from this device, which means your computer. You have to locate the picture, or stock images, or online pictures, where basically you have to be connected to the internet to download those pictures. So first we're going to apply an image from this PC. Go under either Pictures or go under Documents, wherever you have your picture. And let's say I want to use Office 365. Notice you can resize this image by using one of those handles on the corners. Click on it. Notice you have these tools that show up after we inserted the picture. Those are called contextual tools. It's tools that show up in the context of what you're doing with a particular item from your document. So if you're working on a table, it'll give you the table tools or the contextual tools for tables. If you're using images, these are the contextual tools for pictures. If you're using SmartArt, you'll get the SmartArt contextual tools, and so on. Now here you can apply some of those themes. These are very similar to the styles for formatting documents that we learned earlier. You're applying particular themes or styles for formatting a picture. Notice here it's adding the gray edges on the bottom and the right hand side, or this is formatting, it's slightly different, and so on. Notice there's a drop down here. You can modify this however you please, and you can apply borders. You can also apply shadows and reflections and 3D and all that type of stuff. You can select also the position for this tool. So you have the alternate text that we just entered earlier. You can choose to change that from here, but also you can go under position and pick a different position where this should show up in your page. So you could have it in the middle of the page, the right hand side, bottom, and so on. So let's say I want it on the right hand side automatically. Notice it's changing it with a text. Also the positioning. So that's the positioning there, but then also the text wrapping. This is where you can specify how you want the text to wrap tightly through it, over it, and so on. So I'll suggest that you play with this, but it's one of the functions that's commonly used with an object that you insert in your document. Under the wrapping of the text, we can actually change it so the text can come against it. So if we choose tight, notice we can make the text tightly fit around this image. If we wanted to crop this, just simply double click on it. You go under the crop tool and then you move these handles. You can crop it from one of the handles in the bottom. Let's say I want to bring this up like that, and then this down. Or you could use the corner ones like that as well. And then once you're done with the cropping, you press crop again, and that will apply those cropping properties. Now, once you crop it, notice this doesn't look too great. You could go and apply a different style and then adjust it slightly. That's how it works for any objects that you insert, whether from the web or from your computer or any of those objects that you'll insert from here. Remember also one other thing under the image here. You can change and remove the background if you want it. You can change the color. You can add artistic effects by applying these tools here in the color area. Inserting images from other locations. So if we click here on Insert, we go under Pictures and then Stock Images. We'll select the image that you would prefer to utilize in your document or in your report. Press Insert and then further modify it using the tools that I explained just a moment ago. And then under Insert here, Pictures from Online, of course you have to be connected to the internet. Type what you want to search for. Click on the image that you prefer, insert it, and then modify it. Notice here it's also giving us where it was taken, this image from, where it was downloaded from, and to give credit to it. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we're going to learn how to insert icons in a document in Word. So we have a document similar to this, and now we want to enhance this further. We have inserted pictures in the document, we have inserted a table of contents, and now we want to go in and insert or utilize, learn how to use some of those additional tools such as inserting icons in this document. Go, let's say, to a specific area of your document and then click here on Insert tab and then choose Icon. We click here on Icons, pick the category of icon. Notice you have illustrations, stickers, you can have specific icons. And under Technology, let's say I want to use this icon in my document. You click on it, click on Insert, and it has been inserted at this point, but let's say I want to put it right in front of Complete Mediation. Bring that down, resize it. The other thing that I can do is go here under Icons again, and then for the next heading, I could have some other icon related to technology. And you basically are resizing it. In this segment of the Word tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to insert 3D models in a document in Word. So we have here a Word document, and for the sake of demonstration of the functionality of Word, we're going to learn how to add 3D models. So we are in Word, we have the document, we go here under the Insert tab, and then we go under 3D models. Here you can search for a keyword, or you can use one of those categories, or simply click on any of those items. So let's say I want this all animated. Pick any of the, click on Insert, and you can kind of spin this, adjust how it will display to the viewer by using those controls. Obviously, you want to use this intentionally to make a point, and you don't want to overuse this to annoy the users. If you double click, you have the various views that you can apply to it. You also have the text wrapping functionality, the concept that we learned earlier. So you could have this so it wraps tightly against the text, and you could pan and zoom and align it and all kinds of other tools. So Keep in mind here to utilize these contextual tools that show up for this object. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we're going to learn how to insert and use shapes in a document in Word. Now, this function is not used as much, but at least for the sake of functionality of the product, it would be worth covering. So we go here at any place on the document, and we click on the Insert tab, and then we go under Shapes. Now you can select any of those shapes. Of course, this is just to make a case. They have to be used purposefully for your document. Unlike inserting a picture where the picture will be inserted automatically, or icons and other components in the document, here we have to draw how big or where we want this object to be inserted and how large. So we select it, and now at this stage notice that contextual tools show up. So it's tools related to the shape component. Now here we can apply various styles for this, animations, and we can apply here the text wrapping to make it tight, and other components, and edit this. If you don't like this, you can change the shape from here using this tool, and it'll change it to something else. If you go under Insert, you can actually, on top of this, you could insert a text box. So you could actually type stuff on top of this object. And you do that by clicking on Insert, choosing Text Box. And we are going to draw a text box directly as part of this. Format this. Even change the background under the shape fill here to make it to no fill, and then you can make the text color white. So in this case we are learning about two concepts: one, inserting the shape and adjusting it in the document. The other one was inserting a text box. In order to move these are two separate objects. You can click on the text box, hold down the Control key, click again on the larger one, the outside one, and if you right-click, you can group those together as one object rather than two. In this segment, we're going to learn how to insert a table in a document and how to modify that table in a document in Microsoft Word. Go any place in the document, and we go under the Insert tab and then choose Table. If you click on the drop-down, you notice that you can draw a table, pick how many columns and rows you want, use an Excel spreadsheet, or use quick tables, very similar to this for calendars or things of that nature. In our case, we are simply going to select how many columns and rows we want. So let's say I want 3 columns and 2 rows. Notice as soon as I select it, it's entered in the document. Now I can resize those columns as needed. And also notice on the top, we have the table design tools. That gives us the various styles and tools related to tables. Notice also that next to table design tools is also the layout tab that gives us another set of tools related to working with tables. If those tools for some reason do not show up for you, you may need to click out, click somewhere else in the document, and then click back on the tools or double click on your table, and then you should be able to see those table tools on the top. Next, enter the information in each cell. Now, in the cases where you need to add additional columns or rows to your right click, and choose Insert, and then choose Insert Rows Below. And this is how you add additional rows. For these table tools, as you can see, you have options also such as the total row. So you can click on total row here, and if I add another cell or another row, if I go here under the Layout tab and go under Formula, I could add a formula to give me the sum of all the cells above this. All I have to do is click OK, and it'll give me the total for those numbers. Let's suppose that we want to make this table look more professional. We go under the Table Design Tools and then pick one of the designs. If you click on the down arrow under the Table Styles, we can select from one of the styles. Notice that also you have these tools for adding rows and columns below. Also, another key concept to remember here is and sometimes it gets tricky, is how the text is going to be indented in that specific cell. So right now, notice for a firewall device, it's at the top of the cell. Let's say we wanted that centered. You go here under the Layout tool, and you choose from one of those the alignment area. This is where you can define for that to be centered, or if you want it to right side or left side, but yet centered, that's where you change this. Obviously, you can change also the text direction and additional components. In this segment, I'm going to demonstrate how to insert hyperlinks in a document in Microsoft Word. So let's suppose that there's a need where you need to link to different supporting documents or external websites or a video somewhere from your Word document. So to hyperlink, you simply select the words that you want within your document, and then you go under the Insert tab, and then you go under the Link option. From here, you could link to a document in your computer or an address or something on the web. So here, for example, I'll link to my YouTube channel, and then you press OK. This has been hyperlinked, and the user, if they hold the Control key and click on it, it will take you to that specific hyperlink. You can also link to a document in your computer. And if you select the words that you want in your document, click on the Insert tab, and then you choose Link, select that specific document. Then click on OK. It'll be clickable, so you hold down the Control key, and this is linking to a document on the computer. This is a PDF, and it'll launch the PDF file. Now, obviously, the document that you're referencing has to be in the same computer when you're presenting this. So be careful when you're sharing the document with somebody else that they will have access to it. It's best to share it, upload the document somewhere on the web, and then link it that way directly from the website. In this segment of the Word tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to insert a signature in a document in Word. So we go here under the Home tab, and then we click on Insert, and then go under Signature Line. Click on it. Now, the first time you run it, you may be prompted to enable the Microsoft Signature tools and just proceed with anything positive for it. That's because at one point in the past, I had clicked to enable it. Now here, you simply put in the information that you want, the email address if necessary, and so on. And then you can allow also the signer to add comments in the dialog box as well. Fill out these, and then you click OK. Then it'll add a signature line very similar to this. At this point, the person signing the signature or signing this document will be needing to double click on it and then type their name. Then you can have additional comments added in here, and then click on Sign. It'll prompt you whether to use the certificate, and there you go. So it puts some additional properties behind the scenes, and it kind of connects with Microsoft Digital ID services to make this legit. It also collects additional information as to the time and date and so on from the user. In this next session, I'm going to talk about inserting or using the screenshot feature in Microsoft Word. So let's assume we have this document here, and now we want to insert a snapshot, whether we are doing documentation on how to do something or whatever the case may be. So what you do is you go under the Insert tab, you click on Screenshot here, and notice you can either clip the screen or you can pick from one of the available windows. I'm going to do a screen clipping first, so I click on Screen Clipping, pick part of my screen, and now that has been inserted in my document. Now this, you could use it for creating a manual or creating directions or whatever it may be within your document. This is basically just like another image that I inserted in the document. I can go here and customize this and make it look differently and so on, and apply the various different styles related to the images in the document. The other thing you can do is if you go here under the Insert, under Screenshot, so you have to have something opened in your computer, and then you can take a screenshot of an application that you may have opened in your computer, and then of course resize this however you need to. In this next session, I'm going to demonstrate how to use a text box in a document. So you go under the Insert tab, and then you go under Text Box. Now here you have different types of designs that you could pick from. So let's say I like this kind of design here. All you have to do is just put some text. And if you wanted to change it or make adjustments to it, again, remember the concept is that you can double click on it and click on the various tools related to this particular object, and of course using options within this. Remember, you can always resize it and move it wherever you need to move it. In this session, I'm going to demonstrate how to create columns and basically format your document to use columns. You can go to here, the Layout tab, and then you go under Columns. And if you wanted just columns throughout your document, let's say 2 columns or whatever you need, you simply click on 2, and then it's going to apply it throughout that section in your document. If you don't want that, and I'm going to undo this part, you can simply go to a specific section, select it, and then click on Columns, and then click on More Columns, or you can just choose 2 for that here. If you wanted just 2. Notice once we selected it, it applied it to just that specific section. The other thing you can do is you can go under Columns, More Columns, and this is where you can customize it even further. Let's say you want a line in between, and you can how many columns you want and that type of thing, and then also where it applies, whether it applies to the selected section or to the whole document. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we're going to learn how to insert a cover page in a document. So here we have a document that we have added a bunch of stuff to it, and now we want to insert what's called a cover page. You can click here on the Insert tab, click on Cover Page, and then choose from one of those templates. Note that there are additional templates that you can download from office.com and embed them in the document as well. And let's say I'll pick this one. And then you give it a document title. Fix the font how you want it. Add additional properties if necessary, or delete areas or components that you may not want. Notice that it's smart enough to insert the cover page at the top of the document for you automatically. Now from here you could add a different image if you'd prefer and change this and modify this as needed. In this segment of the Word tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to insert a page break in a document. So let's say we have this document and we want this to always start on a new page. So this heading to be always on a new page. So we go here under the Insert tab and we choose to add a page break. So we basically click right in front of that heading and then go under Insert, we choose Page Break, and from now on, no matter what you type or how you type this, so let's say I copied a bunch of text here and I keep on adding to it, and notice pretty soon it's going to jump into a new page. Notice that even though it's only one line or two lines here on the next page, notice this got pushed down to a brand new page. So that's the purpose of a page break in a document, is that you specify a particular heading or a particular area of your document to always be on a new page. For most users, the difficulty is, how do I remove that page break? To remove it, you need to go under the Home tab, then click on this icon to show and reveal the hidden symbols. Then you scroll down and notice that at the end of the page where it ended from the previous section, there is this page break. So you want to select it and then press Delete on your keyboard, and then it will bring everything up. Then you can unhide those hidden characters and you're all set. In this segment of the Word tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to use SmartArt in a document in Word. SmartArt is used to quickly and easily make a visual representation of your information. Let's say we want to outline the research paper writing process. So typically you can represent this in a document very similar to this, like selecting a topic, then identifying the research problem, then collecting the relevant data, then analyzing the data, then writing the research paper, proofreading it as well. So this is one way that historically most have done it. So you simply list these areas, and however, you can take this same information and convert it into SmartArt. Unlike PowerPoint, where you can select the information and convert this into a SmartArt, unfortunately in Word you have to retype this stuff all over again. So we go here under Insert, we go under SmartArt, and then pick one of the processes from here. So let's say I'll pick this first one. Click OK. Now I have these options. Now it's asking me to type those processes. In this case, I'll simply copy them and paste them in here. So I don't have to re-type it from scratch. And I'm clicking down here where the SmartArt area is. Obviously, you want to do this from the start rather than the way that I did, and I did that for demonstration purposes. The SmartArt, it's more visually appealing here. Now to take this one step further, you can double click on the SmartArt that you just created, and notice that the SmartArt design tools show up. Now you can change the design if you prefer to something different. And notice you get the live preview. And once you select one of the designs that you prefer, now you can select also various color schemes as well. And furthermore, you can adjust the design of the SmartArt as needed. So instead of you representing that topic by just a bunch of bullet points, you're now using a SmartArt object to represent the same idea, but it's more visually pleasing. Now here, obviously, you can modify this further. Under the formatting, you can then adjust other stuff here related to it, including the text wrapping if necessary. In this segment of the Word 365 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to use the design feature in Word. So we have this document, and the document we have a cover page, we have a table of contents, we have images, tables, objects, and charts. And now here you can go and apply a design theme to the whole document so that objects and components within that document flow from a design point of view. So you go here under the Design tab and then select from one of those document formatting styles, or you can go under the Theme area and select from one of those themes. And notice it will give you a preview, a live preview of what the document is going to look like once that theme has been applied. Notice it changes the font style, it will change the color combination. So pick one of the styles that you prefer. Notice that the various objects that we have inserted throughout the document have been modified to apply the same color scheme across the whole document. Now those colors, you can further modify them if you prefer. So if I go here and change it to Office 2007 or a different color theme, that can apply again. So if you like the font, you like the additional properties, but don't like specific color schemes, you can modify it from here under the Colors option, and also you can modify the fonts as necessary. In this segment of the Word tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to insert headers and footers in a document. So let's suppose we have this document. It's a pretty long document, 16 pages, and now we want to insert a footer. We go here under Insert, and then go under this section for header and footer. Select the type of footer that we want to insert, and notice there are different designs that you can apply to this document. Select one of those designs, click OK, and notice it gives you the type of footer that you selected automatically. Now in this case it's selected to page 2 out of 15. Now here you could format this text to be a different color if you prefer, and to make it larger or smaller and things of that nature. Now notice also, as you're dealing with headers and footers, now in our case we have a cover page, but if we didn't have a cover page, your first page will have the page number. In that case, you want to select that option for different on first page. That's what makes the page number not show up on that very first page if you had a cover page. From here, you could add other field types under the footer. Let's say to the left of this footer, I want to insert the file name. You can do that by inserting document information, and you could choose the author or the file name or the path, or you can even insert a field name such as the date created and table, all kinds of data from this document. So I'll choose here file name, and that's my current file name. And notice that has been applied to the rest of the document. To get out of the footer mode, just double-click anywhere in the text, and that will bring you back and take you off the footer mode. If you want to go back into it, double-click on the footer, and it will bring you the tools related to header or the footer. The process works the same way for the header. So if I go under the document here and choose Insert, then Header, and then pick one of those header types or header templates, and then I chose to have the document title here, you can adjust the formatting of this as needed. You have 3 different tabs of contextual tools in this case, and the reason for that is because we are working with a table within our header area of the document. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we're going to learn how to insert a footnote in a document in Word. We have this document, and in a particular area of the document we want to insert a footnote. All you have to do is you go under the References tab and then you click on Insert Footnote. So it will insert the footnote at that location where you have placed the mouse. Once you press Insert Footnote, then you can type those explanatory notes for that document. If you move this paragraph to a new page, then it will move that footnote with it automatically. In some other cases, you might need to insert what's called an endnote. The endnotes will be displayed at the very end of the document, just like its name states. So we click here on the specific area in the document, then we click on Insert Endnote, and then type in there the notes that you would prefer to insert in there. And that's all that there is to it. In this segment of the Word tutorial, we are going to learn how to change the margins and the layout of a document in Word. By default, the margins are at 1 inch on all sides. You access those properties by going here to the Layout tab. And then the first option is Margins, and notice it's 1 inch on the top, left, bottom, and right. If you prefer, let's say, narrow margins, 0.5 inches on all corners, all you have to do is press narrow and it will apply to the whole document with that single click. If you prefer custom margins, you scroll down to the bottom, you choose custom margins. Here is where you can change, let's say on the top, I want 0.7 inches and I want to apply it to the whole document. Then you press OK. If you want all your documents to start a certain way, you can choose to set this as a default with those margins, and any new documents that you create in the future, if you choose this set as default and you press OK to this, any new documents will start with those dimensions. Then you press OK, and those settings have been applied. Now, under the custom margins area, notice also one other thing. You can apply specific margins also to a part of the document or to the whole document. So right now, since we did not select anything, we have the option for this document or this point forward. So let's say I want 1 inch on all sides here, or let's say on the top, I want 1 inch for this document from this point forward. I can select that option and click OK. And now from here and on, it would be 1 inch, but from the point prior to this, it would be whatever we had specified from earlier. If you select a page in a document and you go under Custom Margins, now we have the option to the selected sections of the document. And then you press OK, and it will apply to that particular section of the document that you selected. Now, as far as the orientation, you can apply the orientation to the whole document or to a particular page of that document. So here under orientation, we applied it to the whole document. So let's undo that, and I'm going to do Control-Z to change it to landscape for a particular area. Let's say we had something that we wanted to present in a different way. You can go to that particular page and go under Margins, then Custom Margins, and then choose Landscape from this point forward. Then click on OK. And now the previous page, it's in Portrait, but this page and the content following is in Landscape. Let's say we don't want the subsequent pages to be in Landscape. You can go back to Margins, Custom Margins, Portrait, from this point forward, and click OK, and that the rest of the document will be in Portrait. Now, you could change it, but you'd have to apply sections to the document if you wanted to apply it to only a specific section. So you don't have to do this point forward from here. and then you'd have to go back to change it again from this point forward to portrait from the next page. In this segment of the Word tutorial for Office 365, I'll demonstrate how to insert comments in a document. So let's suppose that you're collaborating with others in your office or with your team, and somebody sent you this document, and now you want to make comments in this document. So one of the options is, as you're reading the document, you can select specific words or paragraphs for that matter. So then you can go under the review area here, the review tab, click on new comment. And then on the right hand side, this is where you can type your comment. Now the other thing that you can do is you can actually enable track changes in this document. So you click on track changes, and at this point, if you prefer to delete certain areas, and then you simply type whatever needs to be changed, the system at this point will track all the things that you are changing. So you can choose to show the track changes. Notice by default it will be in red here on the left, and it will highlight by you clicking on to show the track changes. And you can add new sections as well. Now, the reviewer, on the other end, when they receive or they review these notes from you, they have an opportunity to go through each one of them, and they can accept those changes or reject those changes. So accept and move to the next, accept and move to the next, or they can accept all of them as well if they just previewed them first. Or they could reject and move to the next. And that's how you can collaborate among other users. Now, typically, those changes on the right here, it would have the name of the individual and the time when they edited that item. You can also reply to their comments or resolve those comments. This is kind of very similar to the Google Docs functionality. Now, notice as you're working on this, there are a couple other options here. To view the document with all the markups, meaning all these notes and content and suggestions and modifications and that type of stuff, or you can view the original without any of these changes, or just a simple markup here and there without too many notes. Now, before you send the document to somebody else, you need to make sure that you clean all of those markups and approve them so that the comments do not get sent to the final reviewer or whoever is going to access this stuff. And in order to clean up the document of any personal information or any of these comments, you can do that by clicking here on File, and you go under Info for the file, and then you choose to inspect the document. Choose Inspect here. You need to save the changes first. Let's say you don't care for these other document properties, your name and that type of stuff, how long it took, but yet we want to remove all the comments, revisions, and so on. We click on Inspect, and then remove all the comments and notes about the comments. Reinspect it again. And now it is safe for you to send this document to your audience, and they will not be able to view any of those comments that you had made while working with your team. In this segment of the Word tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to save an existing document as a PDF file. The advantage of a PDF file is that the user or the viewer that you're sending this document is going to access it exactly how you have saved it, and they also cannot modify it, and they can open it in multiple devices as needed without needing Microsoft Word. So to convert this document into a PDF, there are a couple ways to do it, but one of the simplest ones is to click here on File and then choose Export. And then under this option, Create PDF or XPS document, you simply click on Create PDF XPS, take note where you're saving it, and then give it a name. Press Publish, and that's all that there is to it. And now the document has been saved into PDF. In this segment of the Word tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to protect a document with a password and how to encrypt it with a password. We have here this existing document, and then we go here under File, and then we go under Info. From here we have this option, Protect Document. Click on it, and then choose to restrict it with a password or to encrypt it with a password. Click on Encrypt with a password, and then enter a password that you'll remember. Notice that the passwords are going to be case sensitive. We need to confirm the password again, and now a password will be required in order for us to open this document. Now if I go ahead and close this document, we'll be prompted to use a password. And then we'll be able to open it. Now to remove the password, in case you needed to do that, you click here on File again, and then you go under Info, and then under Protect Document, we need to click on Encrypt with the password. Just click on it again, and then we erase whatever the password is that we had from earlier. Then go back, save the document, reopen it, and it should not ask us to open it with a password again. So that's how you set a password on a document and how you remove it. In this segment, I'll demonstrate how to share a document with other users. One way to share it is in a network drive on your network. So it could be a K drive, J drive, or whatever it is on the network. The other option is to share it by clicking here on File and then choose Share. Now you can share it using the OneDrive option, and you're signed into OneDrive, or you can share it as an attachment by copying this, and it will prompt you to send a copy of this document provided you have Microsoft Outlook configured. If you have Microsoft Outlook configured, it will open Microsoft Outlook, and I don't have that configured right now on this for this tutorial, and it will put it as an attachment. If you choose the PDF option, it's going to have it as an attachment. It's going to open your email and have it as an attachment as part of that email. Now, if you want to use OneDrive, you simply select the OneDrive option here, double-click on it, and now you can choose, anyone with a link can edit it. You can enter the name of the user, select the name of the user, add a new message, or you can copy the link and just send them the link to that document via an email. So you just click on Copy now, and you simply, in your email, you copy this link and you send it to them as part of your email. So that's one way to collaborate with one of the users in sharing this document. Notice that instead of clicking on File and then choose Share, where we come to these options, you also can do the sharing directly from up here on the top right. So you click on Share, and basically it will give you the same options as before. In this segment of the Word tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to open a PDF in Microsoft Word so that we can edit it. Typically, when you have a PDF document, you cannot modify it very easily. With Word 2016 or later, you can actually open a PDF document in Word and then modify it from there. So we have this document here that, as you can see, it's in PDF. And let's say we don't have the Word version of it. Now, what we can do is open Word and then simply go and locate the document. If you don't see the PDF option, we want to choose the All Files option. Then click on the PDF file, then click on Open, and then it will prompt you that it will convert it into an editable Word document. It'll take a while depending on the length of your and the complexity of the document. Click OK here, and then simply wait for it to open. Now at this point, notice I can go and edit and add more stuff here. Once you have opened the document, then from here we can save it and then return to it at any point. So notice I have it here Word in working with videos, and modify it as you need. In some other cases, you might have documents which are a little bit more complex. So we go here under Open, browse for the file, and then let's say I have this document that has columns and that type of stuff and images. Click on it, and let's say I have it only in PDF. Click on Open, it'll prompt us, and then you can still modify it as you need. And then simply save it, and then you have a Word document to work with. Now, if you want to convert it into a PDF file, again, to share it you can simply click on File, press Export, press Create PDF XPS, and then this will save it in PDF again for sharing. In this session, I'm going to demonstrate how to perform a mail merge. The process is actually very similar to other versions of Microsoft Word as well. It's not identical. So let's say I have this long document here, and I want to do a mail merge and send this to individuals. For now, I'm going to create a new page here. I'm going to insert a new page, and I'm going to put their information in there for my clients. So in this case, I'm going to go under Insert, and I'm going to insert a page break, just so that I have a blank page here to start with. And then in here, I'm going to make it so that this document can be customized for each individual. It has their address and their name and some kind of information as well. And by the way, this doesn't have to be a document like this. It can be a blank document, a letter that you sent. It could be invoices. It could be whatever notices that you send out there. It's very similar to letters that you receive from various companies out there that have your name on top of it. You have to have a document in Word, and you have to have an Excel document as well, and that's best to use Excel. Let's assume this is the list of my customers. I have their first name, last name, the street address. Of course, this is all fictitious, zip code, and then a bunch of email addresses, and you could have also comment 1, 2, 3. So this would be personalized comments. So this is what the comment that I could write, for example, for customer 1. Now customer 2, I would say, and so on. Now one key thing to remember as well as you build your list in Excel is that the first row here needs to have the field names, or it's best to have the field names. So first name, last name, telephone, street address, and keep those separate as well if you can. Keep as many fields as you want here, or columns with comments, because you can utilize this for multiple mail merges. And the way you'll be doing it is that you can link the same data file, and you keep on updating this from month to month, and you link it to the same report or the same mail merge that you do for your customers. Let's say we are all good to go here. We have maintained this list. This is our customer list. Notice that the tab here on the bottom, it says customer. So now I'm going to save it. Now in here, I want to create a new mail merge. So I go under Mailings, and then I go under Start Mail Merge. And the best thing to do is, or what I'd suggest that you do is, click on Step-by-Step Mail Merge Wizard. In here, notice that there is pane in the right-hand side shows up, and it asks you, do you want to create letters, email messages, envelopes, labels, and so on. You can do emails, and that's a powerful feature, and I'll try to demonstrate that in another video. Or actual letters like the old days that you used to do, print them in a paper and stuff them in an envelope and send them and that type of thing. So for now, we're going to learn how to do letters. We click on Next Step to start the document. It says, do you want to use the current document that we have opened, or do you want to start from a template, or do you want to use an existing document that you have from some other time? I want to use the current one, and then select the recipients. Now it says, do you want to use an existing list, or do you want to create a new list? In our case, we are going to use an existing list, that Excel file that I opened a moment ago. Type a new list. You can do it from here, from Microsoft Word. However, I'd recommend create a list in Excel if you're going to have to create a new list, because it's much easier to manage in the future and update. So we click here on Use an Existing List. We click on Browse, and then we have to find the file. And this is my customer list for the mail merge. I click on Open. That's my Excel file, basically. And here is my customer table. Notice there are two sheets in there, but I want to use, remember I mentioned earlier, customer. Click OK. This is the list of all the customers in that Excel spreadsheet. You could also sort them a certain way if you wanted, so you can sort them alphabetically by first name, by last name, and all that type of thing. And then you can also filter them if you needed to. So let's say you want only by a specific zip code or by a specific criteria and so on. You could basically simply click on filter and choose a field name. And let's say here's a zip. You would say zip equal to some number or greater than some number and so on. So in this case, I'm going to cancel that. You could find duplicates to avoid sending duplicates and click on OK here. At this point, we are ready. We have told the system that we're going to use the existing document and an existing list. Now the next thing it says, write your letter. Put in your address block. I could put this by clicking on it, or we could insert the fields manually. I would recommend that you tinker with it manually. So you could say, dear, and then choose the insert field option. So dear first name. The computer will put the first name in there. Then you go to the next line here, and then you start writing your letter. In here you could put their address so that it will be part of the envelope. So we click here under insert field, first name, space, last name, and then insert field, street address, city, comma, state, and the zip. Now those look coded, but computer is going to pull them one by one and match them with the Excel spreadsheet, so don't panic on that. Now in here you would write your letter. You'd say below is the annual report for your investments. Let's assume this is an investment report. Remember in Excel we had a comments field. You could put a comments field in here. Now at this point you put your name there. You could also insert an image if you needed to, or a logo, or whatever part of your, it's going to be duplicated across all the pages. Now at this stage you could save this. If you were to save it at this point, and you'd give it a name. The reason why I saved it is because you could at any point open this and it's going to pull your data automatically from your Excel file if you needed to do another mail merge in 6 months or whatever. Now the next thing here, notice it says preview your letters. This is the address, Alex, and so on. And you could kind of preview them right here. Next, next, next. A lot of people, they stop here. But you need to finish to complete your merge. You can click here under complete merge, and then you can either choose to print them or edit individual letters. Notice there's also a finish and merge option on the top as well. So in my case, edit individual letters, and then I'm going to choose all of them. Now it's going to take a little while because I had 29 pages here and I have a lot of customers. So notice now we have one letter or long report for every one of the customers here. So notice we have here, the first one is for Alex. And now we have to keep on scrolling because this is a long report. And now here's Amber. That's the next customer. And again, like I mentioned, it's going to be a long one. So suppose you have 2 or 3 pages, and this would be much more meaningful. But basically, we're creating a personalized report here for each one of the customers. And here's for the next third one. Keep in mind, again, the key there is that this is the output at this stage. If we were to look at the documents that I have opened here, and apparently I have many of them, but this is the one with merged results. It says letters, one word. This we can actually trash it after we are done with it. We don't need to save it unless you need it for documentation purposes. This is our form. If I close this and I save the changes, if I go to open this again, so this was the one for mail merge form. Notice it prompts you, it says, opening this document will run the following commands. Select from customer order by first name and last name. Do you want to update it? Yes. And now it's linking it to the Excel file. Now at any point we can go here under mailings, click on finish and merge, and it's going to merge all of those just like it did earlier. Keep in mind, again, before I end this session, that you can always update the Excel file and you can always reuse the form file. The results page, the merged results, you don't necessarily need to save them unless you need to keep them for documentation purposes as to what you sent out. In this brief video, I'm going to demonstrate how to create an email merge to contact customers via email and send them customized emails with their name and specific information pertaining to their account or pertaining to them. So the way it works is that you have to have an Excel file where you're keeping track of the data. By the way, this does not have to be just Excel. It can be data in Access database. It could be data pulled from another system and so on. It could be data from Outlook and so on. But the simplest way is to have it in an Excel file. It's important that on the first column here you'd have the actual field names for what they stand for. For example, this column stands for first name, and it has all the first names and the last name and then telephone number and so on. The labels here on the top, we'll use them from within Word when we do the email merge. The other thing that you will need to have in order to do an email merge is an email address or a field with the email address for each of the customers. Of course, the email shouldn't be exactly the same for all the customers, otherwise it will not really work the way you intend it to. In order for this to work is that you need to have Microsoft Outlook installed or a MAPI compliant email application installed. And usually if you have Office on your computer, the Microsoft Outlook client application comes with it, and most likely you are using it. Or in a business environment you'd be using that. Go in Microsoft Word. So we can close the Excel file at this point. We go into Word and we'll create a new document. It doesn't have to be a new one. You can use an existing email or an existing template from Word that you are using. Go under Mailings, click on Start a Mail Merge. Then we go under Mail Merge Wizard and Email Messages. The process is exactly the same as for creating labels or creating regular mail merge for letters. The only difference is in the very end when it initiates using Outlook. To then start the document, and we are going to use the current document. If we wanted to use something else, we can pick one from here. Then click the recipients. We have to tell the computer what the recipients. We're going to use an existing list, and we're going to click on Browse to find the list. Then we'll go under wherever we have our Excel file, so you'd know wherever you saved it, and you'll pick the first field that shows up from your Excel file. If your Excel file has more tabs and you're using those tabs, then of course that's what you'd be picking here. Notice here it says first row of data contains column headers. You'll click OK, and then this is our data. We can filter it, we can sort it, we can do other stuff here, but for the sake of simplicity we're not going to tinker with that, and then we're going to click OK. The next step, it is to write the email message. So we click, and then we go to start writing it. We can say dear, and then insert the field, dear first name. And let's assume at this point that the order number was actually this one under customer ID. We're going to mix it at this point a little bit. So you put in that, and then you can put in other comments, and you can put in whatever other fields that you might be keeping from your data file. So now if we wanted to insert a coupon or whatever it may be, we go online here, we search under Bing for a coupon code. Let's assume that's the coupon. We can format this a little bit better if we wanted to and customize it further. And then next we can click on preview your email. Notice it says, Dear Owen, thank you for a recent order 1105. And then we can go to the next customer. And you can see Dear John, Dear Harry, Dear Kathy, and so on. It's going to send them exactly the same email, but it's going to be personalized with their own name and also some kind of pertinent information related to them. Click on Complete the Merge. And then the option here, which is different from regular mail merges, is that it's asking us for electronic mail. Then we tell it that the to field is in the email column for the Excel file. So if we had that labeled somewhere else or something different, then you would choose whatever the name of that column is. Choose email, and then you could put a subject line. This will be the title of your email, as just like your regular emails. Then the format, you want to have the format, if you're going to use pictures like this, you want to make it HTML format, and then click OK. The system is going to connect and utilize Microsoft Outlook, and it is going to send those emails one after the other. It's not going to be like a distribution list. It's going to be just one email after the other. Now be cautious and careful here that you don't blast everybody with this type of email or send the wrong email and you misuse the list. So basically, if I were to hit OK here, it is going to send those emails out based on the Excel list. Now at this point I'm not going to do that because we get the idea, I hope. And what you can do at this stage, if you go back to where you had the codes here, if something is not correct, you can always go back and correct it into the Excel file and then rerun it again. You can save this file, notice with the codes, I'll give the name here on, and then if I'm to go back here after 2 weeks or 2 months or whatever, and I come back to Word again, and then go to open it. Here's my sample email. Notice it's going to come up and ask me, do you want to link to the customer's file in Excel? Of course I want to say yes, and then from this point on, we can go here under the steps and then choose just next, basically, and here they are. And basically just complete the merge and do the electronic mail again. So basically you don't have to redesign the form. It works exactly the same. You can save the form both in regular mail merges, in label mail merges, and email mail merges, and reuse the same form multiple times. And you just keep the Excel file up to date. In this brief session, I'm going to explain the process on how to create labels. All you have to have is Microsoft Word, and then the best is to use an Excel file. The Excel file could be a list of names. On the first row can be different labels, for example, the customer number, the company, the first name, last name, telephone, street address, city, zip, and so on. You could have any other new fields as well. As you can see, you can create it by either extracting it from an existing system, or you can simply type those addresses and keep those in a list. And we need to go to Microsoft Word. Click on Mailings tab, click on Mail Merge option here, and then step-by-step wizard, and then create labels. Then click on Next to start the document. We are going to use the current document layout, or you can use an existing document if you want, but in this case it's going to be labels, just populate it with the basic names and addresses. If you wanted something where it says labels with other information, then you can simply type it here on the left hand side. Then the next option here is to choose label options. We need to tell the system what kind of labels are we using for this mail merge. Then here under label vendors, unless you have Microsoft, you need to change it to something else. And usually the most common one is the Avery US letter. Under Avery US letter, notice there are a lot of different ones. And usually when you go to the store and buy those, you'll have the number directly on the label. So it will tell you on the box of labels as to which number it is, which product number. So one of the common ones that we use is the Avery 5160, which tells me it's 1 inch in height and then 2.63 inches. So we click OK here. The next step, so we click on select recipients, and then you can use an existing list, you can use the contacts from Outlook, or you can type a new list if you wanted as well. But like I said earlier, it's easier to just type the list first in Excel and then you just utilize that list. So we go here under use an existing list, and then we go and find it and locate it. Click on browse, and then we are going to go here under week 3, and this is the customer list for mail merge. Now in here there are 2 tabs or 2 sheets in this spreadsheet. Now when I had this earlier, it was the first one, so we'll pick the first one, and these are all the names. You could filter those names if you wanted, but for now we're going to leave everything alone. On the first one, we're going to click on Insert Merge Field. So we go here to the first label, and then we click on Merge, Insert Merge Field, and we say Insert First Name, a space, Insert Last Name, hit Enter, then Insert Street Address, hit Enter again, and then we are going to insert the city, comma, state, and then the zip. Now here is where pretty much everybody has problems because the labels don't populate through all the fields. So the next thing what you need to do here is we click on Arrange Labels, and then the next click on Update All Labels. So before you go and preview them, you want to update the same information that you see here to all of the labels all over in that same sheet. So the computer will do this automatically for you, and this is just for the labels. You click on Update All Labels, then we click on Preview Your Labels, and notice the information is posted. If for some reason we want to change something here, we could go back to the previous step where the code stuff is, highlight it, let's say the first and last name, we want to make it bold. Click on bold there. If you want to put the word to, we could do that right in front of it. But then remember to update all labels again, and that will populate all the labels. Then preview your labels, and then complete the merge. You can preview them, how it's going to look page by page by page, but basically the last step what you want to do is complete the mail merge. You complete it, you could print it, or you can click on Edit Individual Labels. If we click on Edit Individual Labels, click on OK, this is the final product. So the final product here basically, it's the whole merged results. This you shouldn't have to tinker with it. If something is not correct, it is recommended that you go back to your Excel file. I'm not going to save the results here. You go to your Excel file, you change whatever you need to change, and then you come here to the previous step, which by the way, you can save this form, and you can save it particularly with the codes at this stage, and anytime you run it in the future, it will actually pull from the same list of addresses and list of information. You just have to keep the same file, the data file, and the form, this is referred to as the form file, in the same folder. It's basically the same folder, or linked it, the same structure that it was to start with. And then once you change something, you just go back to preview the labels and complete the merge all over again. In this brief session, I'm going to demonstrate how to use the compare feature between documents, between 2 documents. So let's say this is one of my documents here. I'm going to save it. And I want to compare this with another version of another document. We are in the Home tab at this point. We want to go under the Review tab, and then we click on Compare. We want to compare 2 versions of a document. So we're going to put the original document here on the left. Here it is. This one is the original, and the revised version is the modified version 2. I'm going to check it for all of these properties, whether tabs were added, tables, fields, anything. And then I click OK. At this point, this is a combined view showing the changes between one and the other. So notice the word more effectively, here it was deleted. And if we keep on scrolling down, display, the word display was deleted as well. The word editing was deleted, and so on. So I just changed a couple of the words in this case. The other thing that you can do is you can go here under compare, and then under show source documents, you can click on show both of them. We'll be able to see them side by side as to what was changed in each one of them. So here's the original over here, and that's the revised version of it. Notice the word more to communicate. One has more effectively, the other one doesn't, and so on. So that's how you can use the compare feature between the two documents. And then down here is basically a summary of what changed specifically for both documents and where the revisions were. Macros are a great tool while you are working in a document, particularly when you have to perform various repetitive tasks. So instead of you doing one thing over and over and over again through all the different steps, you can record all of those steps in a macro, and then you simply execute that macro. So here's how it works. To get to the macros, all that we have to do is we go under the View tab in Word, and then we go under the Macros option here. Then we click on Record Macro. In this case, I'm going to record bringing up labels, for example, label Avery 5160. So instead of you having to do all of those steps time after time, you simply execute the macro. So we click here on Record Macro, and then we'll give it a name. Now, it says that assign macro to, you can assign the macro to a specific button, which would be an icon here somewhere in the quick access toolbar or somewhere. So you can assign to this macro a button or a keyboard shortcut. So in this case, I'm going to assign a button, and then notice it says new macro, macro 1. You can change the name if you'd like. And then I'm going to add this. Notice it's going to be on the quick access toolbar, but I'm going to add this also to the right hand side here. So I want to customize my quick access toolbar. So I want to click on add, and then I'm going to click OK. All that is going to do is it put this icon over here. Next to the mouse, there's this little cassette tape. That means that every step or every click that I perform from this point on until I stop it, all of those steps are going to be recorded. So now to insert a label, usually you'd go under Mailings, and then you'll go under Labels. Once you go under Labels, we need to go here under Options, and then we'll pick the specific type of label that we want. We said earlier that we wanted Avery 5160. So we go here under Label Vendors, and we will want to change this to Avery. So you choose Avery US leather. We want here 5160, for example. And there it is. So we click OK, and then here we click on New Document. Now notice it brought and it designed this document to be that type of label. This is where we want our macro to stop. All we have to do is we click here under View, we go back to Macros, and we choose Stop Recording. So now the macro has been recorded, and all the steps have been recorded. Notice we have an icon here on the very top. So let's assume now another day came by and we want to create labels. So we go here under New, we choose Document, and all of a sudden we have a need for those labels for Avery 5160, and we don't have to go and search for the label, search for the vendor, and all that type of stuff. So all we have to do at this point is we click on this icon here for the macro, and notice the label definition has been applied. So it's the same step For anything else that you do in a repetitious way within Word, all of those steps, you can record them exactly the same way. You can use macros to open a file from a specific location, or you can have it to create labels or put headers, footers, or whatever else that you do within Microsoft Word. In this session, I'll briefly show you how to link data from an Excel spreadsheet into a Word document for the purpose of reports. So there are a couple ways to take data from Excel and then utilize it in Microsoft Word. Let's say this is my report. Let's say I have to do this report monthly, and I have to take data from Excel and put it in my report for whether it is expenses or it could be whatever else. One of the ways to get the data from Excel into Word is by copying it from Excel, and then I'm right-clicking and choose copy, or Control-C, or however you copy stuff, or click on copy and paste up here, and then I go back to Word, and then I'm going to paste it. Now notice, by simply pasting it in Word, it does not look anywhere close to what it was in Excel. Of course, I could go here and choose to use the destination or keep the source formatting. So that's one way. It's not the greatest way. Now what you can do is you can actually link the data with the Excel spreadsheet. Once you link it once, as the data is updated from time to time from Excel, from your assistant or whoever else, that report, it's always up to date. All you have to do is open up the document and it will be up to date. So for that to work, you go to Excel, we copy and we select and copy the data. So I'm just copying it again. Those bars were there because I had copied it from before. Now we go back to Word, and we click here under paste, but instead of just choosing paste, we are going to click on paste special. So choose paste special, and then we're going to paste it as a link. So we are going to link it with Microsoft Excel. So it's linked to an Excel spreadsheet object. So basically the data is not really residing. It's of course posted in the document, but it's linked with the Excel document. So I'll demonstrate in a moment here. Since we pasted it, we can assume that the report is done, and we're going to save it on the desktop. I call it this my monthly report. Now a month has passed by, or whatever time has passed by, and notice my let's say my training expense for January in the previous report was $100 before. Now I'm going to make it $123. Now if I go to my document, save it, click on it, notice the first thing that you'll get is it says this document contains links that refer to other files. Do you want to update this document or the data from the linked files? It's saying it's linked to Excel. Do you want this to be updated? So I say yes. And now this is my older junk here that I had from before. But notice the expense here for January for 123 has been updated. So the idea is that whatever you change here in Excel, as you're keeping track of things, it will be automatically posted and linked with Microsoft Word, because we linked that data earlier. So if I go into Word, close it, and then save the Excel changes that I made, open it up again, say yes to update it, again ignore this part, notice even the formatting has been updated from Excel. In this session I'm going to demonstrate how to use citations and bibliography and managing sources for references in a document. This is a very powerful tool, and I strongly suggest that if you're a student, take advantage of this. This tool allows you to insert sources of information for a book or article or other material, where it came from, and then as you're utilizing it for multiple papers, it also builds a repository of the source resource manager stuff within your master list here. Let's say this is something that we are citing. So let's assume we copied this and now we want to cite it. You first have to determine what your style of writing is, whether it's APA or MLA. I'm going to pick at this point APA. Basically, you just have to do this once for all your papers or for that course or whatever you're for that document. And then you click here on Insert Citation. You could insert an existing one or you add a new source. So in this case, let's say it's a book. And the author here, you could click on Edit or you can simply type it here. You enter the title of the author and then you put the year when it was published, the city, and then the publisher as well. You could also insert additional fields if you needed to as to what volume it is, the number of volumes, the title, pages, and so on. Then you click OK. Notice for the APA style, this is how you would cite this source. Now we go to another part of the document, and let's assume that this was another section that we want to cite. We put in parentheses, and now we go here under citation, and then add a new source. Notice that under the new source, you can pick other things as well. So for example, you could pick a journal article, you could pick a periodical, a conference, or a report, a website, a recording, and so on. All of these are the small technicalities that are complicated to remember, but this is a tool that makes it easy for you how to cite it. So for example, an article from a website, you could simply click to a document from a website, and you put in the author. Notice you also have examples here. So in this case, we are going from to the web. So we go here to the website, and let's say this is the article, Can Laws Keep Up with the Tech World? And it was written and published on such and such a date. So now the author in this case, it would be Bruce Schneier. And then we go to our document, and then we'll just put the author in there. The name of the web page is the title of the article. The name of the website, so this would be, for example, CNN.com. The year, so actually we want to put the year in there, the date that it was published. So notice it was updated on November 21st, 2015. So we put here year 2015, the month, December, and then the day, 21. And then you also need to put in there the URL for this article. So we copy it, and then we'll paste it in there. And then we simply click OK. And it's good to go at this stage. Now, let's say that somewhere else, now notice I'm going up in my document here. Let's say that this is my other section that I want to cite. And now, let's assume that I'm simply citing this for now. I can go ahead and click here on Insert Citation, and I could even pick an existing citation. Now, under Manage Sources, I used two of them in this document, those that have the check marks. Those are new ones that I just entered. But basically, this is a list of other sources that I have done other research, for example, this first one. Now, what I could do is I could utilize this in my document here, in my paper. So all I have to do is I go here under Insert Citation and pick that source to be included. Now, let's suppose that I'm done with all my citations for this paper, and now I want to insert the bibliography or the works cited. Go here to my document and insert a new page. I go and insert, let's say, a page break or whatever. Basically, I'll just do a page break for now. And now on the next page, I want to insert the bibliography. I go under References, and then I click on Bibliography. And notice it gives you multiple options here. You have Bibliography, References, and Works Cited. That will depend on the type of research that you are doing and what your paper or professor requires. So for example, if I wanted bibliography here, here's my bibliography. And it has the word bibliography By the way, it's putting everything also alphabetically, automatically, and it's formatting and italicizing and doing all that redundant work automatically for you. In this brief tutorial, I'll explain how to insert equations in a Word document. Word includes equations that you can drop into your documents. No formatting required. If the built-in equations don't meet your needs, then you can modify them, or you can build your own sophisticated equations from scratch. So here's how it works. Suppose I'm typing here in my document. Now what you can do is you can click here under Insert and then go under Equation. You click on the drop down here, and then you can use one of those equations that already exist in here and then customize them as you feel like. That's one way of doing this. Or if I want to delete it, I'm pressing backspace here and I go back to Insert Equation. I can go and insert one manually. So notice here there is an option for Insert New Equation. By the way, there are also other ones that you can download from office.com and just customize them as you want them. Now here, if I want to insert a new equation, and I'm going to do a very simple one here, click on Insert New Equation, and then simply start typing. So 2, and then notice you have these tools here on the very top. This is for basic math. So now I'm going to use the asterisk here for the multiplication, and then type whatever your formula is going to be. Then hit enter, and there is your equation. Now another cool tool that you can use, you can go here under Insert and then choose Equation, and then you can actually take this ink equation where you can actually draw with the mouse on the screen, or if you have a touch screen you can use your finger here and you can basically write your formula just like that. And then if you're happy with it, so notice how it's going to convert it here. You click on Insert and there is your new equation. So we covered how to insert one of the templates that Office has, to create one from scratch, and also to convert one from writing with a mouse or with your finger on the screen and converting into a formula. In this video, I'll demonstrate how to set the default font to Aptos in Microsoft Word. So we open Word, and notice that by default here the font is Calibri. Now we want to set it to Aptos so that any new documents that we open from now on will be in the new font. There are a couple ways to set it. The easiest would be to go into the font area here in the font grouping, click on this expand arrow, and then locate the Aptos font, and then select Set as Default. Change it to all documents based on the normal template. And now, and anytime we go to create new documents, notice that Aptos is the default font.